Good evening. Hello. It's Monday, April 12th. I'm going to continue working on decorating this serving bowl. So, as I mentioned before, I'm using Amico velvet underglazes, and not because I've, tested them all or whatever. This is just uh, what I got first, and it worked, or I figured out how to make it work, and so I'm not tempted to be an exhaustive experimenter. I'm just trying to get what I can get done. Okay, so one of the things I want to point out before I get going, only have one color open at a time. It saves so much pain, so it may slow you down a little. Okay, so at this stage, all I'm doing is adding the background color and trying to remember where in the scheme that I did with the pencil I was hoping to keep it white, um, because this is the point in the process where I get that wrong. One of the things I've decided too, looking back at yesterday's video, this bowl for whatever reason has got a really noticeable wobble to it, which is fine as long as the person owning it isn't too persnickety. But it also makes it feel, shall we say, a little more medieval or a little less modern. So I think what I'm going to be doing is using the green, the greenish clear, rather than the commercial clear. So I'm going to intentionally try to go for a finished bowl that looks like those ones that were done with a lead green. Years ago, it hasn't happened recently, I would often get asked about the use of lead, and I would have to explain that I never worked with lead. For one thing, I work out of my house, so if I did use lead, I would be endangering my children, myself, my pets. But people read things, and they want to be cautious, and so they'll ask. And for the people who are trying to copy medieval things, the temptation is to then copy it all the way down to putting lead in the glaze, and it's not necessary. What the lead was doing, also not appropriate. What the lead was doing in the Middle Ages, we can do now with what are called frits, and that are much safer. Okay, one of the things with these colors is that maybe if you're a genius, you can figure out how to decorate just with the pure color, so just a yellow, just a red, so forth, like paint by numbers or something. But as I've said before, we're trying to avoid monochromatic effects, house paint effects. So what I've worked out is how to blend. And in this case, this stuff works a bit like watercolor, in that, if you get the whole thing watery, it barely shows. And well, anyway, I've been pleasantly surprised to see that what you see is what you get, which with so much of ceramics is not the case, because we end up glazing with 3 or 4 different colors of beige glaze. so that we can get more powerful results that are other colors. I also need to be clear. I come very late to decorating, and I am not a very good scholar of color. So there are undoubtedly going to be people going, "Oh, you're doing that wrong." Okay, well, maybe my wrongness is my style, so that's okay. So I mentioned that only having one color open at a time. That's so you don't dip your brush into the wrong color or drop the wrong color. And that applies to glazing too. You got a 5-gallon bucket of glaze. The last thing you need to do is drop a pint of something else into it. So I thought about doing a time-lapse version of this, just to see what it would look like. Watch the decoration magically appear. The problem is I haven't yet figured out how to put any narration on time-lapse. So while they're entertaining, they're not actually very informative. It's a little like, you know, watching instructional videos in a language you don't speak without subtitles. You can pick up something, but you're probably missing something important. Okay. So that was done with this brush. Thank you. Have a good night.